Tape Deck Media.
My friend Dan, he's got a podcast, 'cause all comics need a podcast, and nobody had a podcast called The Art of Bombing. So Dan went out and bought a tape deck. Who knows why he bought a tape deck? Podcasts don't get played on tape decks, but Dan is from the 80s. So hey there, all you funny jerks, come talk to Dan about your work. Tell him all about your worst times. It's The Art of Bombing.
I did not realize how many trains went through the town that I lived in until I moved into this apartment.
That's
And it's
so
like
funny.
20 times a day, I swear.
I live in Train USA. I don't know what happened. Yeah.
And it's always when I'm in a meeting or trying to do a recording. I swear it
Yeah, I thought
never
it was
fails.
Chattanooga, but it's Chugga Chuga, and it's just, yeah.
Exactly. Oh, but I saw you had a show, Paperclip, that was playing. But that was earlier this month.
Yeah.
The run that you had. Do you have any shows for that coming up, or have you been performing?
So I did the show 37 times this year. So right now, the focus was on ending that Soho Playhouse run, having a blast at that run, and then now I'm focusing on some new stuff. But it was always a dream to perform at the Soho Playhouse. So just to get to do 3 nights there really was so much fun.
Oh, that's amazing. How'd
Yeah.
the shows go?
So awesome. I mean, that theater, there's just something, it's from 1826. It's even older than like some of the old Brooklyn buildings that, some of us live in. It's so historic. It used to be a Tammany Hall meeting place, and like it's hilarious. There's ghosts everywhere, and there's a lot of draw. People just walk up and they're like, "What's playing?" at the Soho Playhouse, and it's always a joy to perform for non-comedians. It's always a joy to perform for
Yes.
people who are like, wow, look at that, instead of studying you like, so what do they got that I don't?
Yep,
Which is
there's a
such a
lot of that.
comedy thing, you perform for other artists, they're like studying you and projecting. You perform for non-comedians and they're just like, well, look at that, Cheryl, he's a talking paperclip. So yeah, there was a lot of fun and joy, and the final night was completely packed, and it's the most I could have asked for to end things out. I had done it at Fringe, and Fringe, I don't know if you've been, it is highs and lows. One day you've got 3 people, one day you're completely sold out. And so to get to end it on that high note and feel like I hit it with a slam dunk at the end was special.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And did all those shows went pretty well? And how was that? I've never been to Edinburgh Fringe, but I saw your show was there. You ran it there. How'd that go? And what was that experience like?
Oh my gosh. Fringe is an artist's entire year in a month. Okay. So all the feelings, all the exhaustion, all the push in 1 month compressed. And it is fascinating. I think the Scots are awesome. They're very similar to New York in that they're very frank. There's big heart, lots of love. Whereas sometimes you'll get some English folk that are maybe a little bit like, what is this that we're watching? This is nonsense. And they're a little bit passive aggressive in their feedback. Whereas the
Mhm.
Scots, if they love it, they'll give you like a giant bear hug afterwards and take you out for a Lagavulin or whatever, some scotch. So yeah, it was really fun. It's so expensive. I don't know if you're familiar with the economics of the Fringe at all, but
Yeah,
it
it's getting, and it sounds like it's getting worse and worse. Like more and more artists are, kind of
yes,
complaining, but rightfully so because it's so expensive to do.
so expensive. And it's one of those things where you're like, oh, should I even like feed into this again? Because it'll just like New York real estate. Like it's just only going to get worse the more we all feed into it.
Hmm.
But I think that it's special. And part of why it's special is that it is a month where creativity and human expression is at the center of life. So we go through life and we have all these things that we deal with, and the life has a, we get a power bill, we trip and stub our toe, and that still can happen at the Fringe. But it's like this like pixie fairy energy for 30 days where the most important thing is art and comedy and laughter and getting a crepe at 2 a.m. that you eat, walk back to your overpriced flat. And it's special. It's escapist in its core, but then there's a lot of very urgent work being done, and you just see stuff you wouldn't see anywhere else. It's definitely one of a kind.
That's great. That's great. I'm glad it went good for you. It's on my bucket list
Yeah,
to do the Fringe at some point, but we'll
yeah.
see if I get there.
You
I've got
should. You should do it.
other I also want to go to New Zealand, and they have a couple Fringe festivals that are almost back to back, so I kind of want to go
Oh,
do that too. So
that sounds awesome.
yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like most of the shows went good, but we're here to talk about bad shows, and as a live
Yeah.
performer, we all go through it. We talked about this a little bit before we even started recording, but so I'd love to hear a story for you because I know your background is sketch and improv, and well, Stand-up's a lot different, obviously, than those two forms as far as the performance aspect, and because with sketch I feel like you don't always have to be funny because you're building up to whatever the final joke is, as long as
Hmm.
people are paying attention. So I'm
Hmm.
curious how that, kind of the difference in performing, sketch and improv and the show not going well.
Yeah. So with improv, you get to sometimes do something called damage control. But in my bombing story, it was so sketch adjacent that I really couldn't. So I got an email from a very established and well-known writer on Conan O'Brien back in the day, named I guess I can say it. I think Brian Stack was the writer, because there was two like head writers, and I'm pretty sure it was Brian Stack that emailed me and said, we're doing a demo at the pit for a new like comedy game show, and we want people to do bits in character, in sketch character. No information about what kind of bits, what kind of trivia, whatever it was. It was basically, we're just gonna cut to you. So I was at the younger, like I was like 24, 25, and I was doing a lot of shows where I would do my Rosie O'Donnell impression. And I show up to this thing not really knowing what they wanted. And it turns out the host was Michael Ian Black. And Connor Ratliff absolutely just knocks it out of the park each time they cut to him. But I was in my Rosie O'Donnell costume, and I guess Connor was a little wiser than me, had a lot of like really good lines preset. Whereas I thought, because I was doing so much improv at the time, I thought, oh, I'm just gonna feed off of the situation. I thought, oh, I'm just gonna like go with the flow. But it turns out in this situation, they needed me to come more than 50% of the way. They needed me to be like 80 or 90% of the
Oh,
way. So every time they cut to Rosie, I gave it my all, and the audience was having none of it.
oh no.
And it's not that my Rosie O'Donnell impression wasn't doing well in other shows. I even did a half hour of it a couple times at the pit. But this audience was stoked to see Michael and Black. They were doing this fun like trivia show. I think it ended up getting greenlit for like one season. But I was not asked to move forward for when they started doing it as a TV show. And Connor was, and I think a couple other sketch people that were on.
Mhm.
And Michael Ian Black was so tickled by the bombing that I was doing. He kept, let's see what Rosie has to say about this. It was just almost like, let's sit in the stink a little bit. And so every time they cut to me, it was just me being like, I'm doing my Rosie impression, and the audience being like,
Oh no.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, and that sounds like a situation where if maybe you could have asked some more questions to be a little more prepared, but even so, you would think they would give some information in a call like that
Yeah.
because it's
The
hard to
vibe when I
prepare.
totally, and the vibe when I got there was very much like, we got this call to make this thing. We're all very established, but we're all freaking exhausted. Like, we all have families, we all have like other jobs that are keeping us busy, yet we weren't going to turn this down. Like, that was the vibe I got from them about making this show. And so when you show up that you now that I'm a little wiser, I'm like, oh, I should have been there Tylenol. I should have been there. Oh, that's a loaded word now. I should have been there pain reliever and showed up with
Hmm.
my pockets full, made myself invaluable, made myself indispensable. So they couldn't even imagine moving forward without me. But when I was a little younger, I used to just be like, oh, well, they didn't tell me, so I guess I'll just show up. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's an incredible story. Going back to that now, because like I said, your background is in sketch and improv. Where did you start? And
Yeah.
where you? I assume you're based in New York now, but did you
Mhm.
start in New York?
Yeah, I moved to New York and I had already seen ASCAT before I moved to New York and just fell deeply in love with long form improv. I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and I didn't really understand that that was a way to go comedically. I watched Comedy Central growing up, thought, oh, everyone who is a comedian does stand up. And then if you're good at stand up, you can do sketch. Like they'll put you on a sketch show. I didn't know you could study sketch and improv, do sketch and improv, and then get a job in sketch and improv. I didn't
Hmm.
understand that there was the comedy theater or stand up comedy.
Yep.
So I started right when I moved to New York for school. I also started doing classes at UCB, probably a little like over eagerly. Like, I was that very annoying person that like made sure to bring it up all the time and was always doing it. I interned at UCB and like I did it a lot. And so I went all in on that and then discovered musical improv, which became like an even deeper love and obsession. And that's how I got involved with my long running improv show, North Coast.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I too am a fan of long form improv. I've taken some improv classes just to help with stand up and the short form games can be fun, but I don't know, just doing a whole like show based on the suggestion and just seeing where it goes is just fascinating to me. And
So
and
fascinating.
it's so fun to watch
Yeah.
too. Just because, yeah, you just never know where it's going to be. I mean, you're essentially making a play on the spot,
Yeah.
which is incredible.
You are. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so fun and it truly is a craft, just like stand up. And the funny thing is the things that get laughs in stand up are different than the things that get laughs in improv because it's so behavior based and stand up is so joke based. And so they're different muscles and I don't know which one is truly harder. I'm guessing stand up is truly harder, but when improv hits and it hits really well, it feels like you're watching the World Series. Like, it's
Hmm.
just so great. The teamwork, the jokes, all of it at the same time.
Yeah, this is just my take, my opinion. So people listening, if you're improv fans, don't hate on me. But I've always saw improv as it's either really good or it's not. Like
Yeah.
like you can watch a mediocre comedian, there's like that they're not necessarily bombing, but they're not necessarily doing great. But I've
Yeah.
always felt, at least with the improv that I've watched, it's either really good or really bad, and there's no like just in between. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. How
Yeah, it's pretty
how would you?
binary.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think when it's bad, it's hard to figure out which one when it's bad is more unwatchable. I mean, when a stand-up is bombing, it is truly so you just feel so bad for them.
Yep,
When
but
in
also as a comedian, you find it hilarious.
That's true. Oh my
Because
God, immediate
because
anti-comedy, immediate Steve Martin anti-comedy vibes.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's the camaraderie of it in the sense of we've all been there, so we know what you're going through, and that's why this is hilarious because we're not the ones going through it right now.
hmm Yeah,
We're watching it
100%.
happen to somebody else.
Oh, it's so good. A good funny bomb is absolutely deliciously sublime. I've watched bad improv that was sublime because it was so bad. But I will say that when improv is terrible, it is unwatchable. And because it
Hmm.
fries your freaking brain when they don't agree on reality. At least a bad stand-up is like, I was at my mother's the other day. What a giant C word or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh my God. Whereas stand-up, they'll be like, we're in a basement. No, we're in a bakery. Who are you? And you're just like, oh no. Oh no. And it's so painful for there to be no agreed upon truth.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah, I
Yeah.
could definitely see that. Do you think so? Like when improv isn't going well for a group, do you think that a lot of it's because they're? Do you think chemistry and synergy has a lot to do with that, like with a group?
Huge. Yeah, like honestly, I would watch a group of old Italian dudes just sit on a stage and talk who have no improv training because of their synergy. Like a bunch of union guys. I'd listen to that conversation because of like how well they know each other. The
Hmm.
best improv teams know each other really well. They know how to push each other's buttons. And with that comes a level of trust. And that trust leads to a level of bravery and risk taking that is very difficult if you don't have that comfort level with the people on stage.
Hmm.
So you can be super well trained improvisers and have a shit show if you have zero comfort level with each other.
Yeah, yeah, that totally makes sense. Because yeah, that's one thing that I love about stand up is that it's just me. It's
Yeah.
obviously you need the audience, but if at the end of the day, if it doesn't go good, it's my fault, and if it does go good, it's also my fault.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Oh,
have
it's
nobody to blame but me.
yeah. Well, and that leads you to the highs are higher in stand up. When you crush as a stand up, you're God. You are God.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Do you so when it comes with to like improv, like if somebody like to transfer over to like stand up for,
Mhm.
if a stand up wanted to get into improv, what would be some of the things you would recommend for that? Like,
Yeah. So when a stand-up wants to get into improv, there's a muscle they have to undo for a little bit, which is this immediate subversion of everything you say. Stand-ups are always looking for punchlines,
mhm,
improvisers are looking for patterns. And if you can relax into it and be comfortable with not being funny out the gate and allowing the funny to come, which is a lot of stand-ups, they come out, first line they say is funny. They're like,
yep,
I know you didn't hire a Mike Birbiglia impersonator tonight, but here I am, or whatever.
yep,
And
yep,
so you walk out, if you do absolute truth, grounded, almost Shakespearean level or Chekhovian level groundedness out the gate, you will find a pattern faster. And the reason is because boring is the perfect backdrop for unusual. And so some stand-ups will come in, they'll go bazoinkas out the gate because they're worried about like energy, because so much of stand-up is about like getting the audience on your side very early. And you can correct me if I'm off on that.
no, no, absolutely. You got
Okay.
to build likability and trust.
Okay.
That's so, yep.
Okay, so yeah, so I think that the muscle to play it very grounded, very simple as a stand-up can be challenging if you switch to improv. But it's very,
Excuse
very
me.
doable. Very
Oh
doable.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's funny as you're explaining that I totally know what you're talking about because when I took improv classes, it was with other stand-ups. So it was like an improv class for stand-up comedians. Like it was directed at that. And I can totally see that where like the comedians are going out there, we're trying to get that instant laugh. And instead of just trying to, find the patterns, like you
Hmm.
said. I guess I know that's that you're looking for patterns, but yeah, it's funny to watch to like remember back to watching our group and think, oh, this is
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about because they were all just trying to get those instant laughs.
They really are. Yeah, they're just going. I mean, and there used to be a teacher who was brutal at UCB who would, if a stand-up was taking the class, he would let them use it all up until they had nothing left, and he'd go, keep going until until they had run out of their stand-up material and had to just operate from point of view and truth.
Yeah, that's a good tactic too. Just let
Yeah.
them. It's like the little kid with too much energy. Just let them
Oh
go,
my
run it out, run
God.
it
Yeah.
out.
It was Anthony King, co-writer of Gutenberg the Musical. He used to
Oh
do
wow,
stand-ups. Yeah.
that's
Tough
that's a.
improv teacher. Really tough. Yeah. But now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, it's like the best workouts I've ever gotten comedically.
hmm
Yeah.
With with that said, with the training and stuff, talking
Yeah.
about teachers, do you have some favorite teachers
Oh my God.
that you've
Well,
worked with?
yeah, I had a teacher who was unafraid to just fully call me out on shit named Curtis Gwynn. And he was the teacher that said enough is enough with going bazoinkas out the gate. He said it is time for you to play it real, my friend. And so he was really, really just, and it hurt a lot because I was also obsessed with him as a performer. I would go to Death by Ruru shows, his team, and be like, wait, they're so silly. And then I thought, okay, I need to be silly. I'm such a silly buns. But the truth is that you get to be silly. You earn silly. And I was a nutcase in the out the gate, and I was very young. So, I have to give myself some grace. But he was fantastic in terms of calling me out with love, but also forcefully and enough that it forcefully enough that it caused my instincts and my impulses to improve.
hmm Yeah, it's funny what you just said there about, earning the laugh or whatever. That's exactly what my improv coach would tell us too. It's like you have
Yeah.
to earn the laugh. You're not trying to
Yeah.
cheat the laugh because that's what comedians, we're trying to cheat the laugh.
Oh,
Get
I
right
mean,
to
we're
it. But
cheaters, thieves, and scammers. That's what tradition. I mean, comedian.
traditionally, yes.
It's not a good rap. And now we're all politicians and the most morally pure people on earth. But as
Yeah, we're
recently
all
as
modern
10,
day philosophers.
for sure, everyone's an expert on political theory now, which I'm like, great, cool. But yeah, I feel like traditionally comedy is where the absolute bottom of the bucket people ended up. And if you were funny, that was your way out of like addiction and crime.
hmm Yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
That you see, and you definitely see that a lot in with comedy. There's a
yeah.
lot of interesting backstories from
Oh,
people.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's like chefs when they're all like tatted up, and it's like, oh yeah, I was like at the absolute lowest point of my life, and then I went to cooking school. It's like, oh, I was at the absolute lowest point of my life, and then I went to an open mic.
Yep. That's spot on.
Yeah.
So you got your musical improv. What attracted you to music, or musical improv?
Yeah, a lifelong love of music was definitely the thing that made me get the flutters when I first saw good musical improv. Good musical improv is to me like pure freaking joy on stage, especially when you see a group of people who regularly play with each other. It's so fun, it's so funny. So I went deep. I had studied Baby Wants Candy. I had this teacher, Eliza Skinner, who absolutely just was so hard on me, but in the best way. Same thing. You can't get to the Crazyville on the express train. You have to take the local. She always had us take the local. And she was like the Michael Jordan of musical improv. She doesn't do it anymore. She's a very established stand-up now, Eliza Skinner. But musical improv just really hit me in the feels because it could even be beautiful and touching and poignant when you did a narrative that had a really good story to it
hmm Do you combine that with long form improv
all the time. Yeah,
all the
that's
time?
like one of my special skills. I did that off Broadway with a show called Blank the Musical.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start getting wrapped up. Is
All right.
there? I know you already, your show is over now, but are you got
Yeah.
anything else coming up, or where can people find you?
Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
a plug for sure. So, I have a show coming up called Looking for Laughs instead of Looking for Love is the play on words, and it's about a blind date on stage that's real, where we do improv inspired by the blind date. I guested on the show in Scotland, had a blast, and decided I wanted to be the first US person to produce it here. So that's coming up next Friday, October 17th at Caveat at 9:30 p.m.
Very nice. Very nice. That sounds like a very fun show. And can people find you online? Yeah, you could plug those socials.
Yeah, at Douglas Widick on all socials.
Perfect. Well, thanks for doing this.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.